This is a paid presentation of Leading Tax Group.
Dealing with the IRS is very emotional. There's stress to pay it, there's stress not to pay it, there's stress to look for help, and it's just one of those situations that you just feel like you can never get out of.
Because I was not going to give the IRS one more dollar. I didn't believe that they earned it.
Those are real people, they're not actors, and Leading Tax Group helped them to solve their tax problems with the IRS permanently. Hello, I'm Alan Mendelson, and in the next half hour, you're going to find out how Leading Tax Group can help you with your tax problems. They have a staff of tax professionals and tax lawyers ready to help you. Leading Tax Group has offices like this all over Southern California, and you're invited to come in for a free, in-person, face-to-face consultation to discuss your tax situation. It's absolutely free. You'll meet with tax professionals who will go over your situation, and they'll give you an honest appraisal about what they can do for you. Leading Tax Group has tax lawyers and tax professionals who can help you deal with your tax debt, and they can help you deal with tax audits, and they can help you if you haven't filed tax returns in previous years.
Leading Tax Group was started to help people that are in trouble with the IRS find a real solution.
Other companies don't offer that solution?
Other companies have salespeople selling false promises. They're out to collect money.
Really? It's that bad?
It's that bad, unfortunately.
And you know it because you've been in the industry for a while.
We've been in the industry. Most of the employees at Leading Tax Group have worked for other companies, and we've seen how other companies operate. They have salespeople where they get paid a commission for selling false promises to vulnerable individuals that are facing tax problems with the IRS or state taxing authorities.
So a lot of people who call up these tax help companies really are susceptible to falling victim for false promises.
As a matter of fact, many of our current and past clients have been ripped off by a few different companies before they found us. Our firm was started for the simple reason of helping people the honest way. We don't have salespeople. We don't have a single person that gets paid a commission if a potential client hires Leading Tax Group or not. That's the reason we encourage everyone to come meet us face-to-face so we can analyze your situation and give you an honest opinion if we can help or not.
And it's a true, free, face-to-face, in-person consultation.
That is true. It's completely free. If we can't help, we'll tell you what to do on your own at no cost. What people don't understand is if you have a small tax problem, you don't need to hire an attorney. There's no reason to spend your money paying an attorney for something you can do yourself. And that's part of the consultant's job here, is to make sure that we can help the potential client that's coming in as far as their tax matter is concerned.
Leading Tax Group can give you expert advice about IRS audits and audit notices, how to deal with tax problems, including failing to file, owing money to the state and IRS, and dealing with tax liens and garnishment of wages. The professionals at Leading Tax Group can take over your case and deal with the IRS directly, so you don't have to. Call Leading Tax Group at 800-492-9596 for a free in-person, face-to-face consultation with no obligation. Go to leadingtaxgroup.com for additional information about their services and for the addresses of their offices. In a moment, you're going to meet Alex, one of the clients of Leading Tax Group. His story is going to amaze you because he struggled with his tax problems and with other tax services for about 6 years before meeting Leading Tax Group. Listen to his story. When I first met him, he showed me a pile of mail from other tax help companies. They were offering him their services. Well, he wasn't happy with any of them.
Well, Alan, this is a lot of the solicitations I get pretty much on a weekly basis about all these other attorneys that, once they find out you have tax troubles, all they do is just send you one solicitation after another for their services. I've tried 4 of them, no results.
What do these other companies promise? What do they say they're going to do, and what do they actually do?
Well, that's really, that's actually the sad thing. they promise you a lot. I've gone, unfortunately, since 2011, through this journey. So I walk in, and then they promise you the world. I remember, right off the bat, a lot of them would do the scare tactics, and that's the ones that I started to worry about. They tell you, oh, you have to, be filing on this. You're really in trouble. You're the top 1% of the people in trouble.
So you got pressure from the IRS, and you got pressure from these lawyers and tax firms that are trying to help you?
Yeah, we get a lot of pressure. Like I know right away. I thought I was feeling good when I called, and actually I felt worse. And that's where I was like, whoa, situation is going to be worse than I thought.
It seems like you're telling me that a lot of these people you just can't trust.
I went online, and even the IRS website tells you, be careful. There's a lot of, companies that aren't really out there to help you. Sadly, I ended up being 3 times with 3 companies that brought me down to a worse situation than I was in.
So you worked with other companies before the leading tax group?
Oh, yeah. Before leading tax group, I really had, I thought I had a handle of it. I thought these people that were supposedly, one of them was a top nation's top firm, and unfortunately, after being in a way strung along about their situation, I found out things weren't really getting done. I would get more letters from the IRS, and that's the stuff that was starting to worry me. And that's when I noticed this has to stop. It has to be a scam. There's no other way out of this.
So you did business with 3 other companies or law firms who didn't help you.
Yes, yeah. They promised me you pay your fees. They say they have this free tax initiative from the government that you're going to be reduce payments, reduce penalties, and you're like, oh great, you found your hope, and that hope pretty much shatters after 6 months when nothing's getting done.
Tell me about company number 1. What did they promise you? What did you get?
The first promise on that one was a really scared tactic. The first promise was that we were going to stop this. It was going to turn around within a year, and the first thing that happened was after a year, already a lawyer was switched out. And that's when I said, well, that's weird. My lawyer is gone. Yeah, he's no longer with the company. So I started afresh again with a new lawyer, trying to supposedly explain the situation. But they claimed they had the situation under control.
But that was after a whole year?
Yes, that was after a whole year.
Okay, company number 2. What did they promise? What happened?
Yeah, company number 2, I felt now that I learned supposedly the problems with the first company, I knew what to look for in the second one. Well, it didn't matter because even though I was being shown that documents were being transferred to the IRS, they weren't in fact not being transferred to the IRS. That's what got me into more trouble.
So they didn't do what they said.
They said it on paper. You would get a paper and, oh, here's your situation, here's everything going on, and then you get that nasty letter again from the IRS that you have not completed your part of the program, and
And you paid the money, huh?
Yeah, that's the worst part. You pay the money, yes.
Company number 3, what did they promise? What happened?
The last one I was getting closer to, hopefully, again, they take steps to deal with the IRS, but on this step I thought, okay, I could finally get forward. This one promised me that they were meeting, in fact, with the final revenue officer, which is what you want to meet with. And then, in fact, I found out the revenue officer didn't get calls from the guy. And it's just one.
They lied to
you.
you.
That was a straight out lie. Yeah, that one was. I think that one was the one that said, "That's it. That's it. This is all a scam." Yeah.
I don't want to embarrass you or anything, but would you tell me how much money you paid to these other companies that got you nothing?
It's several thousands. I don't want to admit to it, but it's several thousands.
So not only did you have problems with the IRS, you lost thousands of dollars paying for help that never came.
Exactly. That's why I want to make sure that someone doesn't fall into that same trap. It's so easy to. It's dealing with the IRS is very emotional. There's stress. There's stress to pay it. There's stress not to pay it. There's stress to look for help, and it's just one of those situations that you just feel like you can never get out of. The problems got really bad that I was about to lose my business, my property as well. So I really needed help to make sure, the issue. And the issues, this is the sad part, the issues came from bad information, from bad accountants, from bad people that were already helping me and got me into a situation that got worse.
So you had an accountant and then got into trouble with the IRS?
Yes. Even though there's a lot of, you trust accountants to follow that they're doing your books and everything, there's still things that could be missed, and the IRS, for one reason, can explode that into a huge dire debt.
So this is what happened to you. You got into problems because you got bad financial advice, tax advice from your own accountant.
Yes, yeah, from several, actually 2 accountants, yes.
Yeah. And so you were stuck.
And I was stuck, and it's like almost quicksand. It kept getting stuck.
And you describe it as quicksand?
Yeah, because once the problem starts, it's almost you can't climb out of it, and it just keeps escalating. You know, the interest alone and the penalties that amount from just say $1, it's almost $3 next week, $9, and 2 weeks after that, you know, it just multiplies and multiplies.
It didn't really go up $1, $3,
No. Several thousands. So. Yes, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So made life difficult.
It makes it difficult because, you know, once the IRS knows that you have a problem and they start sending notices to you, you take a hit on your credit report. And so getting loans and stuff like that for the business got harder.
You went to Leading Tax Group. Finally, tell me what happened with Leading Tax Group.
Well, Leading Tax Group was, you know, my last dire hope, you know, stretch for hope. I looked on the internet everywhere. They never advertised. I don't know why I never found them before. And just out of the blue, I found them. I'm like, okay, they're a couple miles from me. Let's go take a look.
You took advantage of their free consultation.
Yes, that was one of the things. Everywhere else, a lot of places, not everywhere, but a lot of the places I would call ask for, you know, minimum $300 consultation fee or $600 consultation fee. And this one was a free one. I said, well, I have nothing to lose. If it's true what they say, I could see it right away because I've seen it enough.
So it was a free meeting. It was actually in person, in their office, face to face.
Yes, correct.
Not just talk to us on the telephone and
Right.
send a check.
Right, and yeah, sometimes they would send you'd get official documents from the other companies, and you're thinking, okay, this is a true company. You know, everything's certified. You double check on the internet. They have great, you know, Better Business Bureau, you know, accreditations. And like, it didn't matter, you know. Yeah. But yeah, this was a great advantage to see them in person, see the building and stuff.
So you took advantage of their free consultation, in person, face to face, and that impressed you.
What impressed me was the fact that right away, all the three, to me, were the warning signs. There was no tactic like, you're in trouble, get over here, you know, sign your life away, we'll help you out. There wasn't any of that. There wasn't also the rush that if you don't hurry up, you're going to get into more trouble. It was just clearly stated to me, very relaxed, almost like if you're having a conversation with a friend, one of your friends.
So when they sat you down, they talked to you, what happened next?
What happened next is we went through an initial interview of, like what my situation was. Then after that, we scheduled a second interview to show my financials, basically verify what I had said in paper so that they can take the right course.
At this point, had you paid anything?
I hadn't paid anything.
So they actually gave you a lot of service before they even asked you for a dime.
Yes, and I said, okay, well, maybe this is a tactic I hadn't seen, reel you in and then gotcha, But no, it wasn't. It wasn't that, luckily, thank God.
So it was for real?
It was for real. It almost felt, because of my situations, it almost felt like it couldn't be. It couldn't be this easy. It was too hard the other way.
Did they take care of you?
They have, actually, yes. I was actually commenting to one of the reps over there. James and Peter and have been excellent over there. And I was telling them, you guys have done what I've been trying to do in 4 years. You did this in 4 months.
Really?
In 4 months. And I couldn't believe it. And, and the best part is that they actually do call you every week. It said on their website, we'll call you every week. And I'm like, yeah, heard that. And no, you get an email or a call every week to let you know where you're at. Even if it's not moving, you at least know that, hey, they've left the information with the IRS and they're waiting for a response.
But they really do contact the IRS when they say they do, not like the other companies.
Yes, actually, yes. Because this time I took the extra step and verified that they were, in fact, taking care of that instead of trusting someone. Did
you have to talk to the IRS yourself anymore after Leading Tax Group got involved?
No, not at all. That was the best part. That was out of my hands from there on.
They really took control of it and really took that pressure off of you.
Well, you know what? It wasn't so much also the pressure that they took out of it. It was the confidence that you actually had of someone that was going to follow through. The pressure was one thing, but the thing that left me behind on the other companies that nobody was following through. So I had that other, uncomfortable level on top of the pressure of paying this stuff.
So Leading Tax Group really came through.
Yes, they have. I'm really, really, really surprised and thankful.
Call Leading Tax Group at 800-492-9596 for a free in-person, face-to-face consultation with no obligation. Now I want you to meet Mark, who called Leading Tax Group because he felt his own CPA could not handle his case in front of the IRS. Now listen to his story.
Normally people are afraid of the IRS, right? I got a letter. I'm in the financial services industry. I wasn't really rocked by it at all, to be quite honest with you. I expected it because I had heard that the IRS was coming after, what they call low-hanging fruit. I got the letter. handed it over to my CPA, who has done a wonderful job for all these years in, taking care of my tax return. It turns out, though, that was probably a big mistake in trying to go and have him represent me or even represent myself. The first meeting, the IRS was about as unprofessional as they could possibly be. Didn't even show up to the meeting, didn't have the decency to even call and cancel or rearrange the meeting. So I knew we were off to a bad start. So we get to the first meeting, then to the second meeting I go because the first one the gal didn't show up, and the rules completely changed. Now we have a different auditor, and the letter that we received, she says that's out the window, we're going with a different set of rules. But we were already prepared for what they had asked for the first time, which turned into a third meeting. And it turns out the more that you provide to the IRS, the more ammunition you're actually giving them. So since I didn't initially go in with an attorney, it became, I think, more of an issue and a problem for me in trying to defend myself.
So you need a lawyer, not just an accountant.
As far as I'm concerned, I absolutely needed a lawyer, and I figured it out pretty quickly that my CPA wasn't going to be able to handle this for me. The IRS is just relentless.
So why a lawyer and not an accountant?
Well, the first thing that happened is the lawyers put the brakes on the IRS pretty heavy, where the CPA couldn't. There was also a client,
Tell me about those. What are those breaks? Yeah, tell me about those breaks.
They immediately, I got to tell you something. The first thing that I did was I asked, Peter Jacobson over at the Leading Tax Group. The first thing I said was, I need a real pit bull. Okay, that's kind of my personality. I'm up front. I want to be finished with it as quickly as possible. But I said I need a pit bull. I need somebody that's not afraid to spit their mother out and chew them up. And what they did was they then said, you're done, Mark, speaking to the IRS. No more correspondence between you and the IRS. That's finished. We will now take over. Now, I was really, really well documented. I had boxes upon boxes of information and documentation. So it made it pretty easy for them to go in front of the IRS and represent me and make a case for why I don't owe them a dime. And in fact, I really felt they owed me. And whether I was ever going to win that argument or not was another story. But I was not going to settle for less than I owe them zero. And I made that very clear to Peter and the group right up front.
So what did Leading Tax Group do for you that put on those brakes? First of all, they told you don't have to talk to the IRS anymore. What else did they do?
Correct. Then they called the IRS and they took over the case from there. They then corresponded. Now they have a relationship apparently with these various offices. They've been doing it, I guess, for a while, or they have ex-IRS agents possibly as attorneys. And they went in and they just said, he doesn't know this, he doesn't know that, boom, 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 boom. They put it in writing to them. They visited with them. They hammered it out on the telephone. It took quite a long time. And as much as I was aggravated over how long it was taking, because it did take quite a bit of time, again, I was reassured, do not fret. Don't worry about this. This is not, we took over now, you're done. And that to me was pretty important, that they were in my ball game.
They went and stopped the IRS from talking to you. You didn't have to worry about this anymore. You didn't have that headache of dealing with the IRS.
No, I dealt with them no more. I never had another conversation with them, which was fine with me. I didn't really enjoy having a conversation. Again, I was still not worried throughout this entire process because I was so well documented and was able to hand over all of this documentation to Leading Tax Group. At first, I was really skeptical. I got to be honest with you. I thought, what do I need to have attorneys for? Can't I just do this on my own? The IRS doesn't play fair. They just do not. And I realized pretty quickly, again, after they took over this case, and they said, and I'm not going to kid you, it wasn't cheap, okay, to hire these guys. But you get what you pay for as far as I'm concerned. And I got everything I asked for. And this, I'm not being paid for this. This is me honestly telling you that this is the way it was. And when I got a phone call one day from Peter saying, what would make you happy? And we were like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, getting ready to sit down for dinner. And he said, what would make you happy? And I said, I want a letter of apology from the IRS, and I want a refund. He says, those are two things that aren't going to happen. Now what will make you happy? I said, zero balance. He says, that's exactly what you got. I said, are you kidding me? And he said, no, that's what we got. We negotiated out.
So Leading Tax Group got your tax bill from the IRS reduced to zero?
Zero. Absolutely nothing owed to the IRS.
And this is a result of an audit.
Audit. Routine audit for 2014. It's possible they could go back to 2013 or come up to 2015. Again, I've retained Leading Tax Group on the just in case they decide now to come after me. I was also told that had I just cut a check to the IRS when they demanded that I pay them, that would have also been one of the worst things that I could have done, because in the IRS's eyes, I'm then guilty of something if I'm willing to just pay them so willingly. And so it was a good thing that I didn't cut a check to them, and I followed the Leading Tax Group advice.
And this is something your own CPA couldn't do for you.
No, he really couldn't. And I don't blame him for that. They're just not apparently equipped to do this kind of, I guess, negotiation.
Or fighting.
Or fighting, for that matter, in the manner that I needed it done. I needed a real, nasty, pit bull approach. And I'm not saying that the attorneys are nasty people. I'm just saying I needed someone that was going to play hardball.
You needed someone to stand up to the IRS, not a CPA who would just hand over records and documents.
Correct. And because there was not that lawyer-client privilege, that the law allows, that they could have then called in the CPA, I found out later, as a witness against me, where with a law group, they couldn't do that. And so we really kind of put the brakes on them pretty well.
Really?
Yeah,
they could call your own CPA to testify against you?
That's correct. That's what I was told. And I believe that to be absolutely the truth. Because there is no legal buffer, like with a priest or with a lawyer, where it's privileged information. There's nothing privileged when you're talking about with the CPAs. That component does not exist. So I was pretty darn happy when all was said and done. I've actually sent a couple of referrals over to Leading Tax Group because of it.
So they got your job done the way you wanted it, and something that your own CPA couldn't handle.
I couldn't handle it myself, which I thought I was more than capable of doing. My CPA couldn't handle it. When I failed at making myself clear to the IRS because they play by a completely different set of rules. And they make them up as they go along. They dig things out of wherever, the back alleys, to make it in their favor. I personally believe that they receive a commission off of every dollar that they receive, no different than a debt collector. Because that's all it is. It's a business of collecting money. And it's backed by the United States government. Well, you're going to have to fight fire with fire when you go up against the government. And so I was pretty thrilled, to be quite honest with you.
And that's why you needed a lawyer.
I needed a lawyer. And knowing what I know now, I would have probably called them sooner than I did. It turns out I didn't hurt myself. They were able to still get the job done before I did real damage to myself by trying to solve it on my own. It was just not possible. I don't recommend it for anybody. If you're going up against the IRS, even if you believe 100% in your heart that you are 100% correct, you cannot go up against these guys by yourself. It's not going to work. And that's the honest truth. These guys at Leading Tax Group, they kept me in the loop. I got a phone call once a week telling me what was going on with my case. If I needed additional information to get to them, we were right on it. I met with them. If I needed to talk to them face-to-face, they were always very responsive.
Did you take advantage of their free consultation, in person, face-to-face?
Yeah, I actually met with them a couple of times, once over in Westlake Village and once down in the east of here.
Other companies wouldn't do that? They wanted money up front?
Well, I don't know that I even went so far as to even sit with them first time. I talked to the other companies on the telephone, and I just didn't have a good feel. Something just was not right, and I don't know what it was. I don't know that I can put my thumb on it, other than to say to you that it sounded like it was a come on board, okay, fine, great. Peter, from the moment that I met him, said, we don't care how long this is going to take. We don't care how long we have to hammer them, how hard we have to hammer them. You told us what the rules were, Mark, and that's exactly what we're going to do. And I said, fine, thank you very much. And that's what I wanted, because I was not going to give the IRS one more dollar. I didn't believe that they earned it, that they were deserving.
Call Leading Tax Group at 800-492-9596 for a free in-person, face-to-face consultation with no obligation. Remember that procrastinating about filing your taxes is like burying your head in the sand. And the problem with that is the IRS owns the beach. So if you buried your head in the sand, let Leading Tax Group help you dig it out.
They say there are two things certain in life, death and taxes. It's exactly what they mean. If you stick your head in the sand, this problem's not going to go away, unfortunately. If you hire the wrong team, your problem's just going to get worse. A lot of the people that have hired us, they've paid thousands of dollars to other companies, and those companies just took their money, made their situation worse. Made their situation worse. And then they come to us to clean up the mess and set something up that makes sense for the client versus what the IRS wants to corner a client to pay.
A lot of companies advertise an offer in compromise, but you do more than that.
We don't advertise an offer in compromise. We don't even tell a potential client that they qualify for an offer in compromise, even if we know they do. The reason being, very few people qualify for an offer in compromise. A lot of competitors, a lot of these scam companies will promise everyone an offer in compromise. You pay us, we'll file an offer in compromise. Guess what? If you file an offer in compromise, a frivolous offer in compromise, they'll just make your situation worse. And that's what people don't understand. They're paying money for something that's not possible, and their situation ends up being worse.
So you should be wary of these advertisements about an offer in compromise. It's not that easy to make a deal with the IRS.
It's not that easy, and no one can tell you up front if you qualify for an offer in compromise immediately. There are a lot of variables that go into play.
You do something for your clients so they don't get into trouble again. Tell me what you do.
That's called tax planning. Part of our service is to make sure once we fix a client's tax problem, we want to make sure they're on the right track so they don't make the same mistakes as before. We constantly contact our clients to make sure they file their returns on time, to make sure they don't make the same mistakes. If they were forgetting to make their estimated payments for people that are self-employed, we call them as a courtesy and say, your estimated payments are due. Send in the payments. So we do whatever we can, and the vast majority of our clients do not default. That's the beauty.
A lot of your business clients also get advice from you about what type of business they should be operating under.
That's correct. A lot of people don't know the difference between an S Corp, a C Corp, an LLC, or sole prop. Part of the attorney's job, once we get to know their situation a little bit better, once we're knee-deep into their case, we can determine the best course of action, which entity they should open up. If they have an S Corp, it might not be the right corporation for them. A lot of people, they just get advice from their friends, family, sometimes even accountants, and they get the wrong advice.
Leading Tax Group is a real business with real offices and real tax professionals and tax lawyers. It's not a boiler room operation that takes your money and then disappears. Call Leading Tax Group at 800-492-9596. Come in for your free, in-person, face-to-face consultation. And remember, if Leading Tax Group can't help you, they'll give you other alternatives at no cost. I'm Alan Mendelson. Thanks for joining us. This was a paid presentation of Leading Tax Group. Go to leadingtaxgroup.com